This is the Coffee Playdate podcast, and I am Dr. Olga Dingar, hospitalist, mom of 3 under 6, and a life coach for women physicians and professionals. On this podcast, I spotlight entrepreneurs and doctorpreneurs who are doing incredible things beyond traditional medicine. You'll hear the real-life stories behind their mindset shifts, the challenges they've overcome, and the practical advice that they share to support aspiring entrepreneurs on their own paths. Welcome to the Coffee Playdate podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Mike Jordan.
Hey, Olga, how are you?
Good. I'm so happy you're here with us. I'm excited to talk to you today. I know we have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it.
All right, let's go.
First question is, do you drink coffee?
No, not really. I've never been a coffee drinker.
That's surprising for being a physician.
I know, right? I just never kind of acquired a taste for it, and it just never has been important to me. So I think the one time I drank coffee, it was at my senior breakfast when I was at the University of Florida. And I typically don't. And the person came up at the breakfast to pour me coffee, and I kind of waved him off that I didn't want any. And it was President Lombardi, who was the president at the time at the university. And I was like, "Oh no, of course you pour me coffee." So I just drank black coffee then. For that was like the first full cup of coffee I ever had, and probably the last, I would think.
Did it give you the jitters?
I don't think so. I don't remember. It wasn't a huge cup, so it was just small, and it was just the kind of the thrill of having the president of the university. I didn't expect him to be. It was like a huge crowded room, so I didn't expect him to come around and be the one pouring the coffee. But it was really a nice gesture, so I wanted to make sure that I could take part in that.
Yeah. Wow, that's not one of his typical roles, but
He does everything, I guess.
So what is your go-to beverage, Mike?
I actually probably, and I'm trying to really cut back, but what I drink most of the time is caffeine-free Diet Coke, and that's what I reach for if I had my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with our first game. This is a rapid fire questions game. I'll give
right.
you answers to choose between. Just go with the one you like more. You don't need to explain yourself. Just kind of go with your gut instinct.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is, would you rather be confused for Michael Jordan, the basketball player, or Michael B. Jordan, the actor?
Wow. I've never been confused for Michael B. Jordan, the actor, so probably him. I don't know if people see me think I'm Michael Jordan, but I always, anytime somebody sees my name for the first time, it's kind of a novelty for them.
Yeah. Very good.
Maybe Michael B. Jordan, just because I've never had that happen.
Yeah. Perfect. The next question is, newborn visits or teenage checkups?
Newborn visits.
Stethoscope or otoscope?
I think I would say that's a hard one. I think stethoscope.
Cool. And last question here, impact on one family or systems that help thousands?
I think systems, no, I'm going to say impact on one family is really nice. It's rewarding.
It's hard to choose between.
Yeah, that's really a challenge one. But I wanted to, I don't know, I guess I maybe didn't follow the rules right and kind of hesitated and came up with the other one. But I think in hindsight, the impact on one family, when you can see that, is really rewarding.
Yeah, beautiful. The next game is called Take a Sip. It's similar to the first game, but this time we both answer. And if our answers match, we take a sip from our cups.
Okay, great.
First question is, a calm clinic day or an exciting big idea day?
An exciting big idea day.
Me too. Cheers.
Cheers.
Next question, legacy building or freedom building?
I think legacy building.
I'd have to say freedom building.
There you go. Okay.
Next question here, strawberry or pistachio ice cream?
I think strawberry.
I love pistachio ice cream.
We had some pistachio gelato when I was in Italy for the wedding I was at.
Oh.
It was very good.
That's delicious. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was very nice.
And last question here is Tokyo or Madrid for the next conference?
Tokyo. I've never been there. I would love to go to Japan.
I'm going to have to say Madrid. I've never been to Madrid.
Okay, there you go.
Very good.
Excellent.
So, Mike, I met you at the conference in Alabama, and I was intrigued to find out about what you were building.
Sure.
So I got to know you a little bit there, and I want our listeners to get to know you as well. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the incredible work that you're doing?
Yeah. I'm a pediatrician, and I started my practice, Eastlake Pediatrics, back in 2004. And it was just me and an MA and a receptionist, and subsequently expanded that in 2007 to another location. I'm in the Tampa Bay area, so went up to Trinity from where we were in Palm Harbor and started adding providers and physicians at that point, and then expanded again to another location, most recently a little bit closer to Tampa in Oldsmar. And we have 10 providers and a licensed clinical social worker. And it's been a very rewarding experience. And I have been doing that, I guess, for be 22 years in August. And then recently I've been doing less clinical work and working more on the business as opposed to in the business. And as I was doing that, the owner of my marketing company, Carlton, who was with me at the meeting, we started working on trying to figure out how to generate HIPAA compliant review responses, because there's I think a lot of practice can feel the pain of trying to generate reviews. And then the way Google's algorithm now maximizes your visibility based on your velocity of your reviews, the velocity of the responses and the uniqueness of the responses. It was always frustrating for us as healthcare providers that we have to respond to these reviews. Google doesn't care. And that you have to be HIPAA compliant. And there's so many rules and there's so many loopholes and so many challenges to making your responses HIPAA compliant and sounding unique and sounding friendly. And it became kind of this project that we were working on. And I guess we launched it just as me with the pilot in 2024, about 2 years ago. And basically it's a program that helps generate reviews. And then we automate the response with a patent pending AI engine that we built that creates HIPAA compliant responses that are in the voice of the practice. So we kind of like scrape the practice's voice from their webpage and other social media and things like that. And then we're able to mimic that voice and transmit responses that you don't have to think about. And suddenly we're starting to see, as a result of that, we started seeing that my online presence was growing and our new patient registration was growing. And we started with, I think when I started in May of 24, I had like 199 reviews for all 3 locations. And as of now, I think we're above 2,100 for all 3. And star rating has gone from like 4.1 to 4.8 or 4.9. The one location, Oldsmar, was low. We only had 15 reviews at the time. And we had one-star review, which always killed us because you have all these people that really appreciate you and love the work that you do and are thankful for that. And you have some people that just are dissatisfied for whatever reason. And those voices tend to be a little more vocal and a little more prominent on the review sites because they're more motivated to get out there and leave you a review. And so it was always frustrating that this one person was really weighing us down. But once we started using ResponseRx, which is the company that we formed, negative reviews just kind of get ratioed out. So you have so many positive reviews and the velocity is helping. And when we're able to respond to all of them, it's really increased our new patient registration. So we had gone from initially we had about 0.4% of our new patient referrals cited Google as their source of the referral where they found us. And now we're up to about 48% of our patients find us on Google. And our new patients have jumped from the first year we went 27% of an increase for our new patients. And then the second year we're at 50% above our baseline. So it's really helped grow our practice. And we've been really focusing on that to really help gather new patients. One of the best things about it is that it's kind of self-selecting for those patients that are 0 to 1, because those are the people who are looking on Google to find new physicians, new pediatricians. And so we're really kind of not only getting a bunch of new patients, but we're getting those who are going to be with us for the longest amount of time.
Yeah, this is such an interesting idea because as a physician, you don't really think about like how you're going to respond and if it's going to be HIPAA compliant or not.
Mm-hmm.
You almost wish like there was some sort of blueprint or guidelines that were provided by Google or other review sites that can help you tailor your response. But I don't think there really is.
No, like I said, they don't care if you're a healthcare provider. So if you're a dentist or a physician or a med spa, you're all bound by HIPAA and you have to protect the protected health information. You have a unilateral obligation to honor that. So you can't say silly things like anything you do that confirms the relationship is a HIPAA violation, and the OCR could come down on you because of that. And so simple things like saying, thank you for sharing your experience. Well, if they've shared an experience and you confirm that, now you've confirmed they're a patient. Or if you say, hey, Denise, thank you so much for your kind words, by using the first name, that also would confirm them being a patient. And there's all kinds of subtleties. So it's very difficult. It's a very kind of unique a narrow needle that you have to thread to be able to sound like I said, to sound like you're being personable and it's talking to the patient in your voice and not accidentally slipping up and confirming that they're a patient or part of your practice in some way.
Yeah, HIPAA compliance, of course, is very important. And if
Mhm.
you're not HIPAA compliant, that can open you up to a lot of different legal problems.
Yeah, when the OCR comes down on you, it can be pretty hard. And there's been several examples of some practices across the country that have gotten $10,000s, tens of thousands, like 30, 20, 50. One came down with 100 and I think $82,000 most recently fine. And that's terrible. And obviously you have all the litigation that goes up until that point where you're kind of end up negotiating with the Office of Civil Rights. That's going to cost money, but there's also what they call corrective action plans. So like they'll then require you to submit reports and come up with all different policies and procedures that satisfy the OCR that you are maintaining HIPAA compliance. You've learned your lesson and you're doing everything right. So it's really a drag if you get caught up in something like that. And that's what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to help physicians utilize the marketing and the online marketing where most people are coming to find you and be able to leverage it in a way that you can generate new patients. As an independent practice, it's tough when I don't have like a 6-figure or larger marketing budget. This is something that I can do relatively cheaply and I don't have to pay for ads and things like that. This is kind of basically where we focus all of our energy in marketing is making sure that we're obviously providing good care so that people come here want to tell us about it.
Yeah, no, it's a very valuable service and one that I think oftentimes gets overlooked because we don't know that we have to be HIPAA compliant with these reviews.
Right. And it's also the challenge is that I'm a physician. I don't want to have to be soliciting reviews. I don't want to have to do things like that. The reality is that's where people are finding you. I'm sure people still get referrals from OBs and word of mouth and things like that, but we don't have any actual control over that. So what we can control is whether or not our online presence is reflecting who we are so that more people can find us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm curious to know what kind of mindset shift did you need to have as you were pursuing this entrepreneurial journey? Was it something different from being a physician, or was there a transferable skill that you could?
I think that like initially there wasn't much of a mindset shift. I still am someone who is entrepreneurial in nature, and I have been running the business for the last 20 some years. So I have a good sense of what it takes to, if you're trying to accomplish something. So having the goal of trying to get these responses HIPAA compliant was kind of the goal. So that was working on that and learning about AI and using that to create the engine. So I kind of had to shift a little bit once I started getting into there. And Carlton is really the architect and the engineer. He's been using AI a bunch. So I kind of learned from him. But then the biggest mindset shift came for me was, okay, now we have this product and now I have to kind of let people know about it. And I'm kind of naturally a little bit more of an introvert. I'm not somebody that can walk up to anybody and start a conversation if I don't know. It's just a little bit harder for me. So I have to kind of overcome that to say, hey, how are you doing? Or are you to try and be a little bit more of a salesman? It's not really my wheelhouse. So I've tried to learn how to be a little more outgoing and to try and engage with people to see if they have the same problems that we have. And if it resonates, then, hey, I've created this solution. And it's what I had came up with in my head. The way I think about it is that I'm trying to help practices the way it's helped me. I want independent practices to be able to grow and not have to worry about, all these entities that are owned either by hospitals or private equity or whatever, and allow them to be able to get their share of new patients as well. And when I think of it that way, that what we're offering is really helpful, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it does. And if you don't get the word out, people are not going to know about your service that
Right.
you have, and they're going to lose out on that.
Yeah, it's that's the tough part is that you've built something that I think really is helpful and you can't wait for the fish to jump in the boat. You got to go out and fish. So that's not something that comes naturally to me.
Yeah, very good. So you've mentioned that you've worked through this challenge. Have there
Mhm.
been any other challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome that, and what'd you learn from it?
Well, I think challenges like just in the terms of like how to motivate our staff and motivate providers to understand the importance of this. And so what we've done or what I've done is just create like kind of motivational strategies and games that they can play so they can make it. So I've kind of gamified the issue so that and created like this competitive, fun and good natured competitions. to see if people can get on board and understand and see that when they're participating and they see all the new patients coming in, that they're part of the solution and they can see that they can take ownership of being part of the process, where it just because they're not a provider doesn't mean they're not valuable to the practice, right? And they're contributing by participating and being their best self when they come into work. And if you have a front office staff that are happy to be there and that they have a good culture where they work, that is seen when the patients are greeted. The same is with the back office staff. And then obviously the physicians, everyone is here to try and help kids and make sure that they're living their healthiest lives and that we're helping them when they're sick. So by kind of getting everyone involved, it helps unify us and gives everyone a common goal to participate in and to try and achieve. And when they take ownership of that and they can see that they're making a difference, I think it gives them more of purpose when they're here working and part of Eastlake Pediatrics rather than just punching a clock.
Yeah, this is music to my ears because I love games and I
Right.
love how you brought that into your team. I mean, do you get 100% participation, would you
Yeah,
say?
part of it is like part of the game is that we add it so that in order to score the most points, you have to have your whole team participate, right? And so and it's team based, and then at the end of the month, we'll have a random drawing, and it's based on how many points you have. So even if you had somebody that wasn't here, or there wasn't a participant, and you kind of scored low that week or that month, you still have a chance to win. So it keeps everyone engaged the whole time. If you can get everyone involved and you can put them um, in separate teams, and I mix the teams up every month. And, we do different themes. Like this month's theme is Seinfeld. I've written programs. These are all things I've created with Claude and AI, where you can keep score. And then at the end, I get a summary. And like today's summary was read by Frank Costanza in his voice. And then one's going to be run by Kramer. And then, there's obviously Jerry and Kenny Bania and the whole Newman, all of them, Uncle Leo, they all can come up. You never know who's going to be the one that's kind of narrating the scoreboard. And so people get a chuckle out of that. And that's what keeps it fun.
That's so exciting. Wow. I have to do more of this. I really, you inspired me here.
Good. Oh, that's great. I love to hear it.
Now, speaking of inspiring, has there been a time where you've gone kind of above and beyond or created these extraordinary, meaningful experiences for your team, your clients, or your loved ones, while still efficiently budgeting the 95% of your budget?
Yeah, let me see. I think that, obviously our goal is always to provide extraordinary experiences for our families when they come in here. And so, but I'm trying to think in the spirit of this question. Usually we try and do things pretty special for birthdays in my family. And so my daughters and myself, actually, we were all born like 11 days apart in April. So my wife is really, really busy in April, like organizing birthday parties and special kind of occasions. So I know one time we had done something where we went to take them on a trip, and it just happened that the birthdays were all kind of lining up in spring break. And so we had organized for them to go to like SeaWorld and Discovery Cove. And the big culmination was they get to swim with the dolphins. And that was a really cool thing. And then at the end, they had both girls in the water, and the two dolphins came up and brought them a big float that said Discovery Cove on it. And that was like 10 or 12 years ago, and they still have those floaties in their room. So that was a very fond memory that I had and that they have. And just one of the examples that we did as far as just focusing on making sure everybody had a great time and really enjoy themselves.
And I think that's something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives
Oh,
because
yeah, for
it's
sure.
so memorable.
Hmm. Yeah, it
Right.
was really nice. And it was working with the people at Discovery Cove was great. And it wasn't something they kind of did where they'd have, if I remember correctly, you couldn't really do both kids. And we had talked to them and like, okay, yeah, we can make it work or whatever. So that was really nice to make that happen for them.
There's always an exception to the rule.
Right, exactly.
So I wanted to ask you,
Hmm.
someone is starting out in a similar space as you. What advice would you give them?
I think that my advice would be to not be afraid to experiment and learn how to use artificial intelligence. That's really 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was not really too familiar with it. And then subsequently, I've spent many, many hours doing that. And I think it's important that if you're going to use AI, that you use the paid models because they are going to give you a lot more response and a lot better responses. And then you can also maintain your privacy by making sure the settings are there. So you don't want to try and when AI is free, it's you're the product, right? They're using your data to 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 improve the product. But in our situation, you don't want necessarily, when you're working in that situation in AI, you don't want to be uploading sensitive information that can be accessed by somebody else at some point. So you want to make sure you use the subscription models and that you set the settings to private, so you can feel comfortable doing that. Um, and of course, you can't use any PHI in these models now, except for I think Cowork may have, or no, excuse me, Copilot will provide you with a BAA so that you could do things like that. But what I was doing was not using any PHI, but I was just learning on how to run facts and figures and reports for the practice, and then for ResponseRx, and then to create some of the programs that we use with ResponseRx, and using that and leveraging that, and not being afraid to try things until you figure it out. Because I didn't have any real formal information or courses on doing it. I just was trial and error and kind of got an understanding of how things work. And it didn't take me very long, but you just can't be afraid to try and jump in with both feet and figure it out.
Yeah. I love that advice, because sometimes we think, okay, we have to first read everything about this
hmm
problem, this thing that we're facing, and then we can only start doing some trial and error.
No, you just can't be afraid to fail, and just keep doing it until you figure out what, okay, now this works. And you're just learning incrementally along the way. And it can be frustrating at times because it's not doing what you are wanting it to do, but you have to learn how to talk to it. And every like iteration that comes out is much better than it was. Like what I'm using now is so much better than it was 6 months ago versus a year ago. And it becomes easier and easier. So I would really encourage people to try and use it, to try and to make their lives easier, and to take out mundane tasks, automate tasks that don't need to be done manually.
Yeah. AI has incredible potential, of
Mhm.
course, and keeps growing and growing every day.
Right. Yeah.
Now, do you have any book recommendations for our listeners today?
Yeah, I know typically you ask for one, but I had three that I thought would be really important. And the first one, it was the one we discussed back in Alabama, is the four disciplines of execution. That has totally reframed how I've worked in pediatrics from the business standpoint. And then I also use that as the framework for Response RX. And basically, it's a book that it gives you a process to get things done. Right. And I don't know if you are like this, but I know I would get on something and say, okay, we're going to start trying this. And I get it all set up, set it into motion, and then just think it was going to exist after that. And it would just fall apart. Right. And so they give you the four disciplines that ensure that you stay on task and you keep doing what you're supposed to do. And without you, anytime you don't have any four of those elements involved, right, which is like you want to make sure that you are focusing on or acting on the most important goal. Like you want to focus on that goal, and then you need to act on the things that are going to be most likely to help you achieve that goal. Then you got to keep a scoreboard so that everyone is involved can stay on target. And then you have this cadence of accountability where you have regular meetings to discuss what's going on. And without any of those four pillars, the whole thing kind of falls apart. But that's been instrumental in me in the way that I've organized or managed the practice and organize and manage things with ResponseRx. And that, I can't say enough about that book. It's really, really transformational in how I've done things throughout my life. And then the other one is one about customer service, and it's called Unleashing Your Hero by Kevin Brown. And it just gives you an idea about, like, you want to make sure that you're providing extraordinary experiences to your customers, and anybody can be ordinary, right? It takes extra to be extraordinary. And it's just a very entertaining read. He's a great storyteller, and he just gives great examples of what great customer service is like. So I thought that was important. And I incorporate a lot of that into the way our practice runs. And then finally is the AI driven leader, and that's by Jeff Woods. And I read that most recently, I think back in August. And that really helped change the way I think about AI and how I use it to help me in my everyday um, work. So like, if I have questions about, like I have an AI project called Experienced Pediatric Administrator, and I can just bounce ideas off and say, how would I handle this? Or does this sound right? And I put it through its paces that way. And it just gives you a different way of looking at AI and how you can use it to help you.
Oh, it's like a brainstorming partner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a thought partner is what they call it, right? Act as my thought partner, and you're the world's greatest pediatric administrator. How would I do this? Or does this seem like a good idea? Or what things am I not thinking of? If you have an idea and you think you're doing it well, just, hey, give me an idea of poke holes in my thoughts and let me know what blind spots I have. And it'll come up with things that you're not thinking of that you're like, oh, maybe I need to pressure test this better. And it's been a game changer as far as how I use AI on a regular basis.
This is so cool. You've given us a lot of amazing insights.
Sure.
Now, where's one place that our listeners can go and find you and learn more about your work?
Yeah. So our website is ResponseRx. So RESPONSE RX, like the prescription, .ai. And my email is mike.jordan@responserx.ai. But that's where our company is for the Google review and survey maintenance. And other than that, you can find me at eastlakepediatrics.com. That's our website. But that's about it.
Well, thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you on our show, and I wish you the best of luck with the company. I'm really excited to see how it grows.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on and allowing me to talk about that and to talk about myself. And it was such a pleasure getting to know you. I'm so happy we went to the conference so that we could connect, and I wish you all the best. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Playdate podcast. This episode is designed to help you stay driven, aligned, build momentum, and take action on your entrepreneurial journey. That's my Dhamma method in motion. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe and share it with one other person who you think would benefit from it. And when you're ready to live life on your own terms, book a discovery call at coacholgamd.com to see if one-on-one coaching with my Dhamma method is your next move.